What's good, y'all? The 2024-2025 NBA season is officially over. We have crowned the NBA champion, and for the first time in franchise history, the OKC Thunder are the NBA champions. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about OKC, of course. I'm going to talk about the Indiana Pacers. But before I go deep dive on each of those teams, as a whole, I want to talk about the finals because going into this year, there was so much noise and narrative around how this was a boring finals, how it was a small market team versus a small market team, the star power wasn't really there, all of these complaints that really, in my eyes, weren't anything to do with the actual basketball being played. And I'm happy I never bought into that, and I hope a lot of you guys never bought into that because this finals, this 7 games that we just had, were some of the best finals games I have watched in the last decade. Almost all of these games were super fun to watch and a lot of interesting stuff happening. Obviously, game 1, we had the Tyrese Halliburton game winner. Then in game 3, I think it was, or maybe game 4 actually, where Shea had those clutch shots to really solidify the comeback for the OKC Thunder. Then you had J-Dub and his 40-point performance. Some huge performances from off the bench guys like Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell. We'll talk more about those guys individually throughout the video, but I just wanted to point out, like, we just witnessed a fantastic finals and there was so much chatter beforehand. I hope this just goes in as a lesson to a lot of people to just kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You don't have to judge and have an opinion before everything happens. You can kind of just sit back, see how it went. In my opinion, this was a top 3 finals of the decade, though. The only ones that really come close were obviously the 2016 Cavs, where they came back 3-1. I would say that is probably better than this series, just because the whole Game 7 and all of that. Then also 2021, where it was Bucks Suns. I really enjoyed that finals. And then also 2022, where it was Warriors Celtics. Those, I think, are my top 3 right now. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. But really, before I got into each individual team, I just wanted to point out we just had an amazing series after a lot of people were talking down on it, and I'm very grateful for that. But now to talk about the actual winner, the OKC Thunder, the second youngest team in NBA history to win an NBA Finals, the youngest team in the last 40 years to win an NBA Finals, the OKC Thunder. They are set up to really win year after year after year, and I know we've said that about the Celtics and about the Nuggets and about all these teams that came before it, but if I had to choose any of these teams in the past few years to really be the next dynasty, the next Warriors, the next Spurs, whatever, I feel like OKC is kind of set up for it perfectly. Obviously, they're led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who won the Finals MVP, rightfully so. Coming off a fantastic Game 7, in my opinion. I know a lot of people will look at the box score and say, oh, he was pretty inefficient. He was shot chucking a lot of threes. It was this, that. When you watch the game, yeah, there were some threes that are questionable or that he missed a lot of, obviously. But I do think that his shot creation was super important in those shots. There was never a three-point shot that he took where I was like, Shai, I don't think that was a shot. A lot of them were solid looks. And then also, inside the paint, he was picking the Pacers apart, whether that was in the pick and roll or just beating by his man, getting to the basket, or his playmaking this game. Absolutely terrific. He had a playoff career high 12 assists, and for majority of the game, he had 0 turnovers. He finished with 1 late in the fourth quarter, but just a fantastic, absolute masterclass from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, especially in that first half where OKC was kind of struggling. We weren't getting much from J-Dub. We weren't getting much from Chet offensively. Shai really just bolstered a lot of that offensive burden and did it. Again, whether that was him scoring himself or him getting his teammates involved, he was just putting on an absolute masterclass. Shai is also one of 3 guys to ever win the scoring title, win MVP, and win Finals MVP all in one season. The other 2 guys were Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal. Shout out to Shai. He is having one of the best seasons we've seen. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think that this is one of the best seasons from a guard we have ever seen, and definitely the best guard season we've seen since Steph Curry's unanimous MVP season. Again, I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I think that Shai has just absolutely, scoring-wise, been killing the game. Defensively, he gives you the impact. We saw right here with these 12 assists, he will play make and get everyone else involved as well. I know a lot of people slander Shai. I don't see it though, man. He is terrific. And I think what makes it even more impressive for Shai is throughout this series, he didn't really have a super reliable number 2 guy. Obviously, J-Dub, I think, overall had a very good series, very solid series. But he was kind of very up and down. And I think the perfect encapsulation of that is in Game 5, where he had that 40-point game, playoff career high, killing the game, just getting to the rim at will, whether if it was off cuts, where he was off the ball, catch and shoot threes, creating for himself and getting there. He was just killing the game, amazing. And then literally the next game after that, he was a minus 40, the worst on the team, just horrible game. Could be back-to-back his best playoff game and his worst playoff game right over there. Again, that comes with, I guess, the young age of this team. And that's not really to down him because, like I said, I think overall J-Dub had a very solid series. It just goes to show that Shai, a lot of the times, he had no other choice, but he had to show up for this team and had to put on that performance, had to get in his bag, score those buckets, get everyone involved. Besides J-Dub, though, it was kind of just like whoever's night it was. Like Alex Caruso was absolutely terrific off the bench for them. He had a few pretty high scoring games, especially for his caliber of player, his defensive first mindset. He went out and scored, 15, 17, 20 points in some of these games. Besides that, though, it was a lot of offense by committee, which I do like that they were able to do that with their depth and showcase that. Some nights it was Aaron Wiggins where he had a few double-digit point nights. Then it was Cason Wallace other games. So again, I just want to tip my cap to Shai for being just so consistent. I know he has that funny quote where he says, "Oh, my whole life is consistent." J-Dub and everyone in the background was like, "Oh," all that. That's kind of what it shows, though, that he is super consistent. You can stamp him for almost 30 points per game in every single game he plays. That's how good and how much of a killer he is offensively. And when you have that solidified offensive engine, everyone else can kind of pick up the slack where they need it, and you pair that offensive mentality with what they do defensively, it makes sense that this team won the championship. I want to start by talking about the team defense before I talk about each individual player and all of that. But this OKC defense, I don't know if I've ever seen a defense as connected as I have seen this team, especially in the first half. They really wanted to set a tone in this Game 7. I saw a few possessions where Indiana was trying to do their normal offensive stuff where it's a pick and roll with Tyrese Halliburton. He gets downhill, tries to collapse the defense, kicks it out. They swing, keep their offense going, get an open shot. OKC, though, with their rotations, Halliburton would drive to the basket, kick it out to Obi in the corner. Then they would start to rotate over. The guy that was at the top would go down to the corner. He'd kick it over. They would just rotate. It was absolutely perfect, and it just smothered every shot attempt that the Pacers wanted to get open. And obviously, when Tyrese went down, he's their main engine. It just got even harder for them to get those looks going, especially in that third quarter. And then it was game over from that point. But along with their team defense, they also have tons of defensive playmakers like Chet Holmgren, who set the record for most blocks in a finals Game 7 game. He had 5 last night. I can't speak enough about how great defensively Chet has been throughout this whole playoff series, the whole playoff push, and then especially in this finals. Like I said, his offense was very up and down, a lot more towards the down versus Indy, but his defense never wavered. He was still being that elite rim protector. He still had plenty of possessions where he would have to switch out onto guards and faster perimeter players, and he walked with them with stride, deterred them from the basket, contested their jump shots. Just an absolute defensive masterclass from Chet Holmgren. Then, of course, you have all defensive team member J-Dub, who also super switchable, super high energy guy, got the super long wingspan where he's just getting his hands on balls, paws. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as well with his length. He had 2 very impressive blocks in this Game 7. One where he blocked a 3-point attempt, just closing out. And then also another one, I believe it was Tyrese Halliburton, where he was the help side defender under the rim and just sent it back. Lou Dort being in that starting lineup, that big stocky body where he's just a ball stopper. He keeps you in front of him and doesn't let you get to the basket, doesn't let you get a clean look off their bench. Alex Caruso and Cason Wallace just getting steal after steal after steal, forcing turnover after turnover after turnover. Alex Caruso, like I said, offensively was great, defensively even better. Cason Wallace also, like I mentioned, just getting steals and steals, putting on full court pressure sometimes to really bother Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, whoever was bringing the ball up. I've made some videos in the past about OKC, and in all of them, I pretty much have just been singing my praise for them. And obviously now we all see that it's rightfully so. They deserve all of that praise. And like I said, this team really it seems like it has the clearest path to be the next dynasty in the NBA from my eyes. I feel like when you have Shea, J-Dub, and Chet, as long as they have that big three together, they can always win a championship because the two-way ability, the versatility of these three guys, all three play defense, all three can create their own shot, all three can play off the ball, all three can play make, can score. I love those three together, and then when you add in the other great defenders, the other pieces around the edge, I mean, I don't know how anyone's going to really dethrone them. That OKC segment was a little bit longer than I expected, but I mean, they're the champs, so I think they deserve it. Now to switch gears, though, onto the Indiana Pacers. The first thing I want to say is what a season by the Indiana Pacers. Even though they took out my Knicks now 2 years in a row, I can sit back and really internalize and realize how great of a playoff run they had, whether it was the miraculous comebacks, the game winners in every series, the clutch time, the amazing shot making that they would go on quarters at a time where they just looked unbeatable. It was so much fun to watch as just a pure basketball fan. Shout out to the Indiana Pacers. I hate that it had to end like this, but obviously we all know what happened to Tyrese Halliburton in this Game 7. Just 7 minutes into the game, after going 3 for 3 from 3, you already see his confidence building, the heater that he was about to go on, and he tore his Achilles. It was really heartbreaking for me. Like, I literally felt my heart sink into my stomach when they went back to Tyrese and he was on the ground beating into the court, like crying, yelling. It broke my heart to see that, because this was by far the most important game out of any of these players. Their entire basketball career, it doesn't get more intense, more high level than Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Win or go home, win a championship or lose, and the season, is all out the window. And to go down with an injury, again, it just breaks my heart. Tyrese, Pacer fans, I really am feeling for you. It's so unfortunate that this is how it had to happen. And this kind of opens up a lot more questions about the future of the Pacers. Not too far into the future, but at least next season. Tyrese Halliburton is more than likely going to miss the entirety of the 2025-2026 season. And obviously, as a team that made Eastern Conference Finals twice in a row, now made the Finals this year, with the rest of the injuries that went on to this Eastern Conference, it looked super wide open. The Pacers looked like one of those top-tier Eastern Conference teams that could maybe come back to the Finals, come back to the Conference Finals. Now, unfortunately, with their main guy not playing, that kind of all seems like it's out the window. And honestly, there really is not much to say, though, besides all of what I have said. It was a great playoff run, great entire, experience to watch. Shout out to TJ McConnell, one of my favorite role players in the NBA. He was just hooping his ass off. Third quarter, TJ McConnell, I will be telling my kids about you, man. Like, just absolute perfection of basketball, and it's so fun to watch him because, like myself, I am not the biggest guy, I'm not the most athletic guy, but he still gets his buckets, and it's inspiring to me. When I go out to those basketball courts with my friends, I like to think that I'm a little bit of a TJ McConnell out there myself. So it was a lot of fun watching him play. Also, former Knick Obi Toppin, I know he had a very bad Game 7, but all up into that, games 1 through 6, terrific, shooting the ball, cutting, scoring, just all around great games from Obi Toppin. And like I said, as a former Knick, it makes me really happy to see my guy hooping out there. But yeah, Pacers fans, again, I really don't know what else to say besides I'm sorry. This is super unfortunate, but luckily for you guys, since you have such a deep team, I could definitely see next year you guys, probably won't make it as far, but I could see you still being a playoff team, a hard out on any given night. Guys like Andrew Nembhard, TJ McConnell, Pascal Siakam still there, Miles Turner, all of these guys are definitely high quality basketball players that can win you some games. I know that's not what you want to hear right now, but you know, it's the best I can give you, honestly. With all that being said though, this was a fantastic NBA season. You know, I really appreciate all you guys that have shown support on the videos, whether this is the first time you see me, you've been watching since the beginning of the season, since last season, whenever it was. If you watched a video of mine, I really do appreciate it. You know, this season didn't go as expected YouTube wise for me. You know, things pop up in life, things change, whatever happens, happens. But all in all, I still, like I said, appreciate all of you guys for coming along the ride with me. Videos don't stop here though. I will be putting out video after video throughout the off season, into next year's regular season, the playoffs. You know, we're around the year, round clock working over here, so make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave it a like. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.